Welcome back, everybody, to Zlatan's Fight Picks. Today we're going to go over the card for July 15th, UFC Vegas 77, Holmes versus Bueno Silva. We're going to do a quick recap today. So we're going to start with the prelims and move our way up to the main events. So let's get started. Starting off the card, Ashley Evans-Smith versus Aylin Perez. Ashley Evans-Smith, 5'8", 67-inch reach, 6 wins, 5 losses, 36 years old. Aylin Perez, 5'5", 66-inch reach, 7 wins, 2 losses, 28 years old. The obvious difference is there's an 8-year age gap for Ashley Evans-Smith, and she hasn't fought in, I think, almost 3 years. She's 36 years old. She's at the point where she's getting a little old. She was okay. I mean, I watched some of her fights. She was okay. She's very stiff, very rigid in her striking. She seems to be a wrestler, and now she has come back. But from what I'm hearing, she's kind of moved on with her career, but now she's back, and I don't know if it's a paycheck issue or just wanted to finish off her contract. But she's fighting Aylin Perez, who seems like, like she's really game. She's young. She's hungry. She's got a little bit of a fan base with, she's had a reputation for twerking, but she's tough, and I don't think she's stellar. I don't think she's really tall for the division. I think she's, a little dumpy in a way, but she's got a lot of spunk, and she tries hard. And I think her first fight in the UFC, she got thrown in at the last minute, and I think she got a reality check on exactly how good everybody is in the UFC, and she got submitted, I think, by Egger. Nevertheless, I think I'm picking Perez to win. I think she's a decent striker. She's probably been working on her striking. Definitely, she's not great, but I don't think she's as stiff as Smith. I think there's a lot of room for improvement. At 28 years old, I think she's moved from Argentina to the U.S. and she's working at a good camp with a good team. And I think she's pretty good on the ground as far as jiu-jitsu goes. That's generally her game. So it'd be interesting to see if they do go to the ground. I think Aylin Perez is going to have an advantage as a jiu-jitsu, maybe not the wrestling. But I think she's going to be younger, hungrier. I think she's going to win this. It's going to be a close fight. But the pick is Perez. I don't like the odds. I mean, she's a kind of a decent sized favorite. I don't know if she deserves it, but I mean, looking at the competition. But it is the women's division, and you never know, right? It's always going to be close. Aylin Perez is the pick. Moving on. Alexander Munoz versus Carl Deaton. Alexander Munoz, 5'9", 72-inch reach, 6 wins, 2 losses, 33 years old. Carl Deaton, 5'7", 69-inch reach, 17 wins, 6 losses, 33 years old. Same age. Carl Deaton been fighting a long time in the other leagues. He just got his big break. The last fight, I mean, who did he fight? He fought Selecki. He got dominated on the ground. He was a last minute, fight. He took it in with like a week's notice. He put up a spirited fight, but he was just so outmatched on the ground. Although he had pretty good defense against Selecki, who was pretty good on a jiu-jitsu guy. So I mean, for him to fight off all the submission attempts and to last as long as he did was actually pretty good. He's pretty good on the feet, managed to hit Selecki a couple times, but Selecki managed to get him on the ground. I've seen him fight. He generally can get controlled on the ground. He's feisty. He can get back up, but he can't get back taken down. Usually the ground is pretty weak for him. Alexander Munoz, he's another guy. He's been gone for almost 3 years. And he had, I think, a bad ACL surgery and then kind of had to do it twice. And there's complications with it. So last time I saw him, he was pretty tough, good wrestler, tough guy, decent hands. Could take a shot, got 3 rounds of fight in him. I think he's got the advantage here just because of the wrestling and Carl Deaton's problem with wrestling. The thing is Carl Deaton's got pretty good submission defense, and I don't even think Munoz has got great submissions. I think he's maybe more of a ground and pound. This is going to be a close fight. And we don't know whose Munoz is at the moment after being away that long. What's he bringing back to the table? Is it the same Munoz that we left almost 3 years ago, or is it the older version of Munoz, who's, you know, still nursing, you know, or is tentative because of his injuries. So I'm gonna pick Alexander Munoz. Slight lean towards him. He is taller. He is longer. He's a better wrestler. He's had a long time to prepare. I think Carl Deaton is feisty, spirited, but I just don't think he's that stellar. I just don't think he's at the UFC level. Well, he's at the UFC level, obviously, because he's there, but he's at the very low end of it. But good to see him at the UFC. He's 33 years old, and he finally made it. Nevertheless, Munoz is going to be the pick. Very tentative. I mean, there is a parlay I'm doing with a whole bunch of underdogs. Not necessarily my pick, but just playing around with it. And Deaton is one of those guys that, you know, I could say he could pull an upset here. But my pick is Munoz. Deaton can definitely upset this guy. Of course, Munoz can come in like he's stellar. Like, it's hard to tell. You know, he's been gone too long. He's a pretty good fighter. So anyways, pick is Munoz. Moving on, Tyson Nam versus Azat Maksum. Tyson Nam, 5'7", 68-inch reach, 21 wins, 13 losses, 39 years old. Azat Maksum, 5'8", don't even have the reach, 16 wins, 0 losses, 28 years old. Azat Maksum from Kazakhstan, tough guy, well-rounded, good striker, good on the ground, good everywhere. People have a lot of hype behind this guy. Odds reflect that. Huge favorite against Tyson Nam. Tyson Nam, I mean, I bet against Tyson Nam, and Tyson Nam knocked the guy out. I bet for Tyson Nam, then he got knocked out. So I haven't been able to pick Tyson Nam. But the only way Tyson Nam wins this is by knockout. Can he knock Azat Maksum out? I think he can knock anybody out, but Azat Maksum has never lost. Azat Maksum has a good ground game. It's hard to see where Azat Maksum is going to be now that he's going into the UFC, but they put him against Tyson Nam, so they already have high hopes for this guy. So I'm picking Azat Maksum. It's hard to pick Azat Maksum because we don't know him. It's hard to pick Tyson Nam at 39 years old. He only got knocked out 3 months ago. I'm very tentative when somebody at 39 gets knocked out cold and then comes back so fast. It's hard to tell what he's going to look like. Pick his Azat Maksum. I think he's going to win this fight. Decent amount of confidence. He should win this fight. Overall, that's the way it looks. But if you're looking for an upset knockout, again, like the Deaton, there's a few ones I'm going to highlight as a potential upset. And Tyson Nam, of course, is going to be one of them. But Azat Maksum is the pick. He should win this fight, providing the knockout doesn't happen on Tyson Nam's part. But you never know. I guess we'll find out. But Azat Maksum is the pick. Moving on. Evan Elder versus Genaro Valdez. Evan Elder, 5'10", 72-inch reach, 7 wins, 2 losses, 26 years old. Genaro Valdez, 5'9", 72-inch reach, 10 wins, 2 losses, 31 years old. Evan Elder, tough guy, came into the UFC fighting in the welterweight, out of his weight division, put up a really good fight, got a lot of street cred for that, came back, fought another guy who was on this card. What's his name? That Russian guy. Is he Russian or Georgian? Sadikov. You know, and I thought Evan Elder was starting to win that fight, and it got stopped by a cut, and Evan Elder ended up losing that fight by TKO, by doctor stoppage. Evan Elder, pretty tough guy. I think he's going to do well. He's young. He's learning. He's tough. He doesn't quit. But he's fighting a guy who's exactly like him. Reasonably young, General Valdez. Again, tall, decent size for the division. Tough, durable, likes to brawl, can take a punch, doesn't quit. This guy gets knocked down, gets back up, throws haymakers, throws bombs, loves, and he's pretty good on the ground. These guys are like very similar in style. This is going to be a real barn burner. It's going to be a really good fight for how long it lasts. I'm going to lean towards Evan Elder, younger guy. Valdez is great, very spirited, but you know what? I mean, I saw him get knocked down 5 or 6 times the last fight against Frivola, and I don't know, whenever I see somebody get knocked down that many times, I mean, I start to worry, like, at what point does he not get back up? So his chin, I mean, the guy's tough. I like him, but he's one. I'm going to pick Kevin Elder, slight lean towards him. If I had to pick again, one of those highlighted upsets, that could be one of them if you're betting for the underdog, because he's a huge underdog. And this is why I'm kind of highlighting this, is the fights are really close. And there are certain people that are huge underdogs, and the people they're fighting have a really good chance of winning. But Evan Elder will be the pick, and highlighting Valdez for a decent dog pick in this one. Moving on, JDM, Jack Della Maddalena versus Basil Hafez. Jack Maddalena, 5'11", 73-inch reach, 14 wins, 2 losses, 26 years old. Basil Hafez, 5'11", 8 wins, 3 losses, 31 years old, no reach. I mean, I got a high degree of belief that Madeline is going to win this. Hafez is a decent fighter. He's a decent fighter in the leagues he was in. Same size, although he looks really a lot shorter. Like when I saw him in the tape, like he just doesn't look 5'11". But nevertheless, tough guy, good on the ground, likes to fight, probably going to stay on the feet. Madalena, I mean, he's a great boxer. There's not a lot of guys that are going to be able to beat this guy. For Hafez to come up and beat Madalena is going to be a huge surprise. Madalena, a true fighter. But, Madalena, how many times did he cut weight and how many fights have been canceled? I hate to say it, but that could weigh into it. But I don't think this fight goes past the first round. I think Madalena is going to beat this guy. He's got something to prove. He's been getting pushed back, and people have been dropping out. So, nevertheless, I think Madalena is going to be the winner here. I picked him last fight. I picked him every time. As a matter of fact, every time I put on a board my picks, I always have Madalena, and everyone always comes back, says, kind of, I don't know if they're trying to be jerks about it. It's like, hey, you don't even know what you're doing. Like, Madalena's not even fighting, because of course all those fights keep getting dropped. And like I told somebody on one of the conversations, I said, I'm going to pick Madalena anyway. So, and this one, I'm just going to pick him. It's for the next fight. Doesn't matter which fight he's fighting. I'm just going to pick him. So, apart from the top 5, he's going to beat everybody. So he should win this, high degree of probability. Moving on. Austin Lingo versus Melquizal Costa. Austin Lingo, 5'10", 70-inch reach, 9 wins, 2 losses, 28 years old. Melquizal Costa, 5'10", 71-inch reach, 19 wins, 6 losses, 26 years old. I was looking for a reason to bet on Austin Lingo because he's a huge underdog. But the more I look at this, I saw Costa come in on short notice. And who did he fight? What's his name? Oh, I can't remember. Anyways, put up a really good fight against a super good jiu-jitsu guy. Stayed in the fight, had good defense, eventually did get submitted. But you know what? I was really impressed with how good he was, how good he fought on short notice. And I watching other fights of him. He's got a great kicking game. He's a good striker. He's decent on the ground. He can get taken down, reasonably easily. But he's fighting Austin Lingo, who's going to be boxing him. And last fight, I think Austin Lingo fought was Saldana, and Austin Lingo won that fight. But Saldana was injured, and Saldana also started fading in the later rounds, which Costa's not going to do. But Lingo is very susceptible to kicks. I think somebody with a good kicking game is going to beat Lingo, and that's Costa. So I'm going to go with Costa on this one. He's going to get his first UFC win. Moving on. Victoria Dudakova versus Estela Nunes. Victoria Dudakova, 5'5", 67-inch reach, 6 wins, 0 losses, 24 years old. Estela Nunes, 5'4", 66-inch reach, 6 wins, 4 losses, 30 years old. You know what? If it was a one-round fight, I'd pick Nunes. But Nunes, dynamic striker. You know what? She looks like a world beater in the first round, and she seems like she kicks everyone's ass in the first round. And I don't know what happens. The wheels fall off as soon as it hits the second round. I don't get it. So I have picked her before for upsets, and I want to pick her now for an upset, but I just can't do it. And the girl she's fighting, Dudakova, seems like she's pretty tough. She's pretty durable, and her whole game is to take you to the ground, which is where Nunes is not good, and she's got 3 rounds in her, and Nunes does not. So here's my pick is going to be Victoria Dudakova, even though this is her debut in the UFC. And the last person I picked the last time in the debut, a couple fights ago, was that Serbian girl, I think. I can't remember her name. Anyways, and she was jiu-jitsu, and then she ended up losing that fight. It was a close fight. But it's still, I'm picking Dudakova. I think she can get this done. I think if she survives the first round against Nunes, she's going to be able to grind it out, get her on the ground, get some control, and win some rounds. But again, if I'm going to highlight a potential upset, again, with decent odds, Estela Nunes would be one of them as well, to finish it in the first round. So highlight her. I'm going to pick Dudakova. She's got the style to beat Nunes. We haven't seen her in the UFC, but in the Contender Series, she fought a girl named Silva, who was actually a really good fighter. I think she's already won one Contender Series fight, and Dudakova had a problem with her. But it wasn't because Dudakova was bad. It's because the other girl was so good, and I expect to see her in the UFC. She was actually pretty stellar. I liked her jiu-jitsu. She went, fought well off her back, reversed the position a few times, a pretty decent striker. And Dudakova actually, I think, blew out her knee and fought through it. So, she's tough. Dudakova is going to be the pick. Still Nunes, highlight as a potential upset on one of my cards. I'm doing a highlight card where I'm doing, all the people I think that could upset and doing a parlay with them in it. So I'm just working on it. But I am highlighting the ones that I could be swayed to go both ways, just because of the odds and the potential of the finish for them. Moving on. Anyways, Victoria Dudakova will be the pick, though. Moving on. Tucker Lutz versus Melsik Bagdasaryan. Tucker Lutz, 5'8", 72-inch reach, 12 wins, 3 losses, 28 years old. Melsik Bagdasaryan, 5'9", 78-inch reach, 7 wins, 2 losses, 31 years old. I went back and forth on this one. Tucker Lutz, wrestler, pretty strong guy. Melsik Bagdasaryan, dynamic striker, fantastic kicking game. If you look at his last fight, he got submitted. I think it was kind of a lucky submission where he just, took his eye off the ball, and the guy he was fighting, which was what was that guy from Australia? Took advantage of just jumping on, grabbing by the neck, no hooks. It was a good submission, caught him off guard. And up to that point, I don't think he was losing the fight. I mean, it was pretty even. He might have even been winning the fight, and he was fighting a really, really good fighter. I can't remember his name. What's his name? Kulibao, who actually is, turns out, after his last fight, you realize how good of a fighter he is. So Bagdasaryan lost to him by submission, which is strange because Kulibao's a fantastic striker. But Bagdasaryan, I think, was doing as well as Kulibao in the striking. So he's at a high level, and Tucker Lutz, I don't think he's very athletic. I don't think he's a dynamic, great striker. I think he's okay. I think he kind of pushes his way through. He's normally the stronger guy. But, he's got to really rely on his wrestling because he's not going to strike Melsik Bagdasaryan. The thing is Melsik is actually 5'9". He's actually taller. Tucker Lutz normally is the bigger guy. When he pushes these guys around, he's the bigger guy. But I don't know how he's going to do and how he's going to be able to come in Bagdasaryan. He's got to be able to take him down. I just don't. And Tucker Lutz is not a kind of guy that really holds people on the ground very well. So, and Bagdasaryan does have a pretty good get-up game. But he's such a better striker. Tucker Lutz better take him down. He's going to be in trouble. But I think Bagdasaryan can get back up. I think he's going to hurt Lutz. I'm picking him to win very slightly, and I was back and forth on this one. And Lutz is one of those good underdogs that you could pick for the money because of the odds. But Bagdasaryan will be the pick. I expect him to squeak it out. But if I had to pick a wild card parlay with a whole bunch of people that have a potential to upset, Tucker Lutz would be on it, especially considering the money that he pays, right? Because he is the underdog. Nevertheless, Bagdasaryan will be the pick. Moving on to the main card. Nazim Sadikov versus Terrence McKinney. Nazim Sadikov, 5'10", 69-inch reach, 8 wins, 1 loss, 29 years old. Terrence McKinney, 5'10", 79.5-inch reach, 13 wins, 5 losses, 28 years old. Same height, same age. Big reach advantage for Terrence McKinney. He's got really long limbs. I've been betting Terrence McKinney, and he's won some unbelievable fights, and lately he's been losing some unbelievable fights. He's like one of the first rounder bust. Like in the first round, he can knock anyone out. He's got unbelievable power. He's a fast striker. Although last time he seemed like he was a slower striker, but he just didn't even look like he's in shape or he is into it. He has great submissions, good striking. I mean, this guy is a world beater in the first round. But after the first round, it's done. Nazim Sadikov, he's the kind of guy that can stretch it out to the longer rounds, and he's got power in all 3 rounds. He's the same size, so I mean he's got to survive the first round. I know he fought Elder last time and he got tagged one time, so and he recovered. I don't know if he would recover from a really good shot from McKinney, but McKinney has hit people before, and if they're still there at the end of the first round, it seems like he gets discouraged. Sadikov, pretty good striker, pretty good, decent on the ground. He could take people down. But again, he's going to try to leave it on the ground. He's going to be a striking battle, but he's got good takedown defense. Sadikov's got to be the pick, slight lean towards him. Terrence McKinney can knock anyone out, but I just don't know. I had this last few fights, I haven't seen anything. I don't know. I mean, he's 28 years old, and it looks like he's almost like past his prime. At one time, he looked like a future contender, and last few fights, he looked terrible. I don't know. I think it's a mental issue. I think it's a training and a mental issue, and I think he needs to be under the right influence to improve, because he's got a huge amount of potential. Very explosive, very dynamic, athletic. But I'm not going to pick him because until I see something different. Nazim Sadikov should win this. He's got a great team behind him too. Next fight, Otman Azaitar, which is Francisco Prado. Otman Azaitar, 5'8", 71-inch reach, 13 wins, 1 loss, 33 years old. Francisco Prado, 5'10", 69-inch reach, 11 wins, 1 loss, 21 years old. Big difference, obviously, in age. This Prado's very young. He fought Malarkey, he lost. You know what? But guess what? Malarkey couldn't put him down. Malarkey couldn't take him out. Malarkey couldn't submit him, and Malarkey's a decent fighter. So he's pretty good. He was a little slow. I found him a little short. Malarkey was much longer, could reach him without getting reached, was a little quicker. In this case, Francisco Prado will be the taller guy. He's got short arms, but he's got short, fast arms. These are the kind of arms you want throwing hooks on the inside, because they get there faster. Otman Azaitar is a little shorter, so his kicks aren't going to be as long, but he does have a longer reach. From what I've seen, Otman Azaitar, I would say, is faster than Prado. But these guys are going to get in the pocket and start throwing. And I have a feeling that Azaitar might be faster, but Prado's going to land. And I think Prado can land a harder punch. And judging from their just build, Francisco Prado, he looks like kind of the Dober scenario, where his head is probably 30% bigger than it should be for his body. And that's the kind of head that can take some shots. And at 21 years old, his chin is fresh, his chin is new. I have a feeling that Prado might get hit, but Prado will return, and Azaitar, I think, won't be able to handle the power of Prado. And I think Prado has got such a cement head. So I don't know how to describe it. It looks like he can take a pretty good punch. I think he'll survive it, and I think he can knock Azaitar out. Azaitar just lost his fight against Favola just recently, so that's his first loss. So at 33 years old, that unbeaten aura is gone. I don't know how he's going to handle it mentally. I'm going to pick Prado, young guy. I think he's going to be slightly slower. He's going to have as much power or more, and I think he's going to be more durable. So I think he's going to win this. Not only that, Prado has actually got a ground game. So he can take people down, and put him on the ground and submit him. Zlatan, I don't even know. I don't think he's ever gone to the ground. He's never needed to go to the ground at 13-0. So I don't know if he's ever gone to the third round. I can't remember, but I think there was one decision, but most of the time it's finished. Prado's going to be the pick. Moving on, Norma Dumont versus Chelsea Chandler. Norma Dumont, 5'7", 67-inch reach, 9 wins, 2 losses, 32 years old. Chelsea Chandler, 5'8", 68-inch reach, 5 wins, 1 loss, 29 years old. Very close in age. Huge amount of experience for Dumont. You know what, Dumont? I mean, she's always a scary fighter. She always seems to be winning these close decisions. She's doing just enough to win, and she's scary to watch her because she does take a lot of shots, but she rolls with it. She's got some good countering. She's got some good boxing. She's got some decent takedowns. She's just well-rounded, a little dumpy. But I mean, like, so is Chelsea Chandler. Chelsea Chandler just looks really, like, just bigger. But Chelsea Chandler hasn't fought anyone. And the last person she fought, she ground and pounded, was that Stilarenko, who's not that great. This is going to be a close fight. It's going to be a couple of girls throwing big bombs. I'm going to pick Norma Dumont to win this. She has fought the better competition. She's young. She's still there. She's not getting worse. She's getting better. Chelsea Chandler, I don't know. She looked really good against the last person she fought, but I don't think she's really fought anyone. Yeah, I can't go with her. Like, Norma Dumont, I think she's gonna step up and she's gonna realize how good everybody is in the UFC. But it'll be a good brawl. A couple of big girls swinging, 145 pounders. Moving on, Norma Dumont's going to be the pick. Moving on, Walt Harris. Okay, guess what? I was going to go into Walt Harris, Josh Parisian, and I was going to pick Walt Harris, but guess what? I would have posted it, and somebody would have said, "Hey, dummy, Walt Harris is not even fighting." Well, I was going to pick Walt Harris anyway. So, no matter where he's fighting. Anyways, Walt Harris coming out for a 2-year layoff. His fight got canceled. I don't know what happened. Albert Duraev versus Jinwon Park. Albert Duraev, 5'11", 75-inch reach, 16 wins, 4 losses, 34 years old. Jung Young Park, 5'10", 73-inch reach, 16 wins, 5 losses, 32 years old. I like betting on Jung Young Park. He's so well-rounded and he's smart. He has decent amount of volume, not super high, but decent, and he's smart. And then sometimes he'll take it to the ground because he knows he shouldn't be standing with somebody. He's a tough guy. He's very durable. I love betting on him. Albert Duraev, I've had a tendency to bet against this guy. I don't think he's that great. But now I've seen every time I bet against him, well, he seems to be winning. So, it was a tough one. It's like, but I've seen, like, when Duraev beat Chidi, even though I think Chidi should have gotten that split decision, Albert Duraev got split decision. Duraev took him to the ground just enough. Duraev, landed just enough punches. Duraev, absorbed just enough punches. Just beating Chidi was a big deal. And is Jung Young Park a better striker than Chidi? I don't think so. I mean, he is probably more calculated, but Chidi does have a tendency to throw lower volume, but Chidi's an excellent striker. Can Jung Young Park take Duraev down, the wrestler? I don't think so. I think Duraev possibly can take Jung Young Park down. I think Jung Young Park has decent get-up game and jiu-jitsu, but so does Chidi. And guess what? Chidi got outpointed, basically, by being controlled. He did get back up, and then he got taken down again, just enough to lose the fight. I got to go with Duraev on this one. I think he's going to win it on a decision. And it's going to be close, but I'm going to go with Duraev. First time I'm betting on this guy. Hopefully, I get it right. Moving on, main event. Holly Holm versus Maria Bueno Silva. Holly Holm, 5'8", 69-inch reach, 15 wins, 6 losses, 41 years old. Maria Bueno Silva, 5'6", 66.5-inch reach, 10 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw, 31 years old. Obvious difference, 10 years in difference. I wouldn't want to bet on somebody who's 41 years old, but Holly Holm doesn't look like she's taking a lot of damage. She's still pretty tough. She's becoming a little more rigid and not as fluid in her striking. She seems just stiffer, you know. But it's still Holly Holm. She still knows how to win. She's very smart. She knows just enough how many kicks to throw. She knows when she's hurt and when she's in a fight, you know, when to back off. And she's got good in and out motion. She's got a lot of good lateral motion. It's hard to track her down with punches. And she's taller and she's longer. So I think she can keep this at bay, at a distance. Maria Bueno Silva, I mean, I went back and forth on this one. I picked one and I picked the other and I picked the other and I kept flipping my pick. Maria Bueno Silva, tough girl. She could take some punishment. She's not going to get knocked out. She's fought. She can take a huge amount of punishment. She's got great kicks and she's a strong puncher. But she's her distance management and how can I put it? Her just she's slow and she kind of got that Muay Thai style where she's kind of prodding forward. And I think she's going to be one step behind Holly Holm, and she's going to be waiting to catch her with a shot. And I think Holly Holm is going to be in, she's going to be out, she's going to be in, she's going to be out. You know, I think she's got better footwork, and I think Holly Holm has proven that she's stronger than everybody. You know, especially in the clinch up against the fence. And I think she's going to stay there. She's not going to take Bueno Silva down. If she does, I'll be sweating because I'll tell you what, Bueno Silva is super dangerous on the ground. As a matter of fact, everybody who takes her down, except for one, that one French girl, gets submitted. So Holly Holm's got to keep it on the feet. Bueno Silva hopefully can tag her and grab her, put her on the ground, or if she gets put on the ground, put out a submission. I went back and forth. I'm going to go with Holly Holm. She is older. So I think she can pull this off. She's smart. She's been beating everybody on top of the division by this grinding style up against the fence and outpointing them. I'm going to go with her, slight lean. But if you're going to pick somebody, again, in one of my special wild card parlays for somebody for upset would be Bueno Silva. I mean, story-wise, the division is wide open. You know, with Nunes retiring, Bueno Silva beating Holly Holm could fight potentially for the title. Storyline-wise, she could win. That worries me with the judges in a close fight. I mean, are they going to give it to Holly Holm or are they going to give it to Bueno Silva, who's definitely the new blood, fresh blood? They can make fights with her, where Holly Holm has fought everybody, you know. And it's kind of been a boring fight mostly. So most of the ones she won and some she lost, but it's not exciting. Bueno Silva is a finisher. So my pick's going to be Holly Holm. Huge potential for Silva upset. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go over the board. And I haven't posted my wild card parlay, but I'm just highlighting the ones that have a potential, not just for the parlay, but just for bets on decent underdogs that can definitely win. So, and eventually I'll post my wild card parlay where I pick a lot more underdogs that could win and have this long shot parlay, or individual bets, of course. I mean, you're probably better off doing that. That's definitely more for certain. All right, let's do this. Let's do this. What are we doing here? Okay, JDM, Jack Della Maddalena, minus 600 favorite. He's my most confident pick. And you know what it's like. I keep telling you guys, my most confident pick's usually up here in the top three. Somebody gets knocked out. But it didn't happen last time, thank God. But yeah, I worry about the guys I pick in the first spot. Jack, I'm worried for Jack. Nevertheless, he's going to be my most confident pick to win this. Costa's going to be my second most confident. He's only minus 210, but he's my second most confident. I really think he's going to win this fight. Third, Maxim. He's the up-and-comer. Everyone's got high hopes. He's within my three tops. So minus 400, man, he's in danger just because I put him up here. He's not in danger otherwise. If I put him down here, he'd probably win. So he's in danger, and Nam's always a danger striker that can knock anyone out still. So nevertheless, he is the pick. He's high confidence. He should win this fight. He's so good everywhere. Definitely up-and-comer. I mean, but we'll see, right? Elder, also. I think he's going to win this fight. He's going to outlast What's his name again? Chavez? No. What's his name? What's the guy's name again? Valdez, not Chavez. High degree of probability. Elder should win this. He's on a 2-fight losing streak. He needs to win this, right? Norma Dumont. Normally I have all the women way down here, but you know what? I'm gonna put Dumont up here. I think she should win this fight. She's the better fighter, more experienced fighter. She's gonna win this. Prado, kind of mid-range. Yeah, with a head like that, how can you possibly get knocked out? So I think he's gonna outland, and if he gets landed on, I think he'll survive, and he's gonna knock Azetar out. Moving on, Sadikov. Again, Sadikov should win this. Getting past the first round is going to be the key. He's minus 155. Holly Holmes minus 188. Should win this. It's going to be a close fight. She's going to get her up against the fence and control her, and hopefully the refs give it. The judges give it to her, kind of like most of the other fights you see her fight. But there is a potential, right? These girls can lose. Munoz. I mean, he should win this, but he's a minus 200 favorite. I don't know if I put him up that high. He hasn't been around, but I got him in the lower level because we don't know what we're going to get. Bagdasaryan, minus 160 favorite. Low degree of probability just because we don't know what's going to happen with his takedown defense against Lutz. But nevertheless, he's the pick. Duraev, he's the only underdog I have picked on this card. This worries me because it seems like a lot of underdogs win, and I just couldn't. I guess going back to my my wild card parlay where I had a lot of these guys flipped over from favorites. For example, like Maxim, Elder, Holm, Munoz. Is it Munoz? Yeah. Yeah. And Bagdasaryan. I flipped those in my wild card parlay. Just not that I didn't do it this way. I did both ways. Nevertheless, moving on with that's a 50 plus. I mean that's a long shot. And then to me it's so close. And 50 plus, not even double plus. Dudakova, because we don't know what she's going to be like. First fight in the UFC. Perez, I mean, I still don't know enough about Perez, so I got her really low. It's going to be a close fight. I still say she wins, but minus 210 and minus 210, wow. I mean, these girls are way too big of favorites, especially in a women's league, in the women's division. Nevertheless, these are the picks. Again, not financial advice. Bet at your own risk. Bet only what you can lose. You can bet these individually on a per bet basis, or you can put them in some kind of parlay. Hopefully this gives you this gives you an idea of what I'm gonna do. Take the information that you need, take the information you agree with, and make your own. Nevertheless, I went over the long shot parlay of potential upsets, and I'll do a little more of that maybe the next time where I actually make a list of them. Just because there's some upsets that are, have more potential of happening, and especially if they're underdogs, definitely. Nevertheless, by the way, we got a link for Bet Online if you want to sign up for Bet Online. They got the most amount of prop bets, 50% deposit match. Buy me a coffee, link in the description if you like the content. All right, let's do this. Great. Thank you very much for joining me. Don't forget, hit the like button. It helps with the algorithm. Subscribe if you want to get notifications when I make my new video, or subscribe and don't get notifications, and it'll just help me with the algorithm and it won't cost you anything. Nevertheless, next week, I will not be able to do a recap of these fights, and I will not be posting a video for the following fights on July 22nd due to me being out of town. So good luck everybody this week, and I'll see everybody in about 2 weeks. maybe a little less than 2 weeks, because I'll be putting out a video, hopefully a little on the early side. I might actually come back and just do a recap on this fight, just to go over it. We'll see what happens. I doubt it, because it'll be already, the week after, and nobody wants to hear what happened 2 weeks ago, right? Nevertheless, next week I will not be putting out a video, a recap, or a video for the following fights, but the week after I will be putting up another video for the 29th. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you soon.